In a pre-COVID world, yesterday would have seen the start of the May 2020 tournament, the last sumo showpiece in Tokyo before the 2020 Olympics. Instead, the sumo hall was silent as our wrestlers remained confined to their stables, counting down the days until the state of emergency is lifted. We understand that all 7 infected wrestlers thus far do indeed belong to the same Takadagawa stable. To our relief, there have been no virus cases elsewhere. In the absence of ring action then, why don't we remind ourselves of how quickly sumo fortunes can change by looking back to this time last year and the start of May 2019. That tournament received far more attention than usual, dubbed the first of the new Reiwa era, and as such to be visited by a special guest on the final day. The weeks leading into the event were filled with stories of older wrestlers born under Emperor Hirohito in the 80s, decrying those born under Emperor Akihito in the 90s. "They don't embrace the spirit of Tabayama," was then 34-year-old Hakuho's quote on the new emperor's day of enthronement. Would the first champion of the Reiwa era bear out that analysis, or would the sumo world be given a glimpse of a reshaping? Defending champion Hakuho, unbeaten in Osaka 2019, stressed his extra motivation for lasts and firsts when explaining his hunger for 2 titles in a row. However, his final day win over Kakuryu in March was achieved with a throw which tore his right bicep, so badly that even the great man himself thought he was finished. Although Hakuho has since stunned his doctors with the extent of recovery, that May tournament came just too soon, and the senior Yokozuna forfeited his once-in-a-lifetime chance to meet a sitting US president. Sumo fans were understandably deflated at his absence, but still had plenty of young hopes to cling to. Takakeisho had ruled the media column inches in the run-up to May, his dramatic promotion to Ozeki inspiring journalists to find out every single detail behind his meteoric rise. Recently retired Yokozuna Kisenosato sang his praises on day 2, claiming his lower back and thighs had thickened exponentially. When I took this footage outside the stadium at lunch on day 4, he was expected to continue blasting his foes out and keep bearing down on Yokozuna. By the time I was back in front of my TV 4 hours later, he'd suffered an appalling knee injury against Mitakeumi, which forced him out, then back in again, then out again. The farcical 4-day period set off a chain of injury problems which have left him looking somewhat subdued ever since. Another young man gathering both support and momentum was Big Tomokaze of Oguruma stable, yet to make a losing score at that point and hailed as an Ozeki in waiting. Known as Mr. Second Week, he once again came good at the end, winning 4 of his final 5 to secure a 12th straight winning score. Sadly, an awkward stumble 6 months later rendered him the latest Oguruma man to suffer serious knee trouble, and we haven't seen him since. Most loudly cheered of all back then was 97kg Enho, appearing in his first top division bout this time last year. You all remember his leg sweep humiliation of a blubbery opponent that day. But who would have thought that the man he so convincingly beat would be top division champion just 8 months later? And, on that same day he won the cup, Enho would finish with 8 and 7 at the top of the division against every top wrestler competing. The thing that really hits you looking back is how dated the top of the May 2019 rankings chart has become. Ozeki Takayasu and Ozeki Goedo both finished with solid 9 6s, and looked to have far more in their tanks. Yet, an elbow injury in July sent Takayasu into free fall, while another ankle problem in November sent Goedo into retirement. The leading Sekiwake, fresh from a career-best 14-1 in Osaka, was actually Ichinojo, at last capable, so we thought, of fulfilling his Ozeki-level potential. Yet a midway withdrawal through injury sent him tumbling into Maegashira before chronic hip pain led to enforced weight loss, which left him incapable of leading even the second division. And at Sekiwake West, Tochinoshin was staking everything on a quick return to the Ozeki rank he'd lost on the final day in March, even demanding of his knee a lift-out of 190kg Chiyotairyu. Had the Georgian beaten Abi on day 11, Meisei on day 12, the title would have been his. Instead, the rank loomed larger than the cup, and he froze in both of those matches, before falling victim to misjudgment of the century against Asanoyama on day 13. Tochi, sadly, hasn't made a winning score since. Yoshikaze at Maegashira 6 fought his last bout that tournament. Stablemate Yago, just 6 ranks behind, began his knee-induced freefall into Division 3. And Toyonoshima regained promotion to Division 1 for the final time, but suffered 5 straight losing scores thereafter, leading to his retirement. At Chigano-Ura stable, both the Taka twins, Genji and Fuji, scooped titles to earn promotions to Divisions 1 and 2 respectively. But Fuji was forced out for disciplinary issues 4 months later, while a dispirited Genji has since posted only losing scores. Also in Division 3, Koto Kamatani scraped a final day win to secure salaried status and a name change to Koto no Waka, while stablemate Koto Tebakari, now top division man Koto Shoho, was making steady progress at Makushita 15. But the top honors of May 2019, including a dubious new trophy from the US president, went to the strapping man whose inside right grip has been hailed as a Yokozuna-level weapon, Asanoyama Hideki. The Tochinoshin debacle ensured it was a highly controversial win, but in a sumo world of constant danger to the body bringing rapidly changing fortunes, nobody can survive without the occasional helping hand, be it holding a war fan or otherwise. The May 2019 tournament thus ended with the terms of Reiwa-era sumo reiterated. The boys of the 90s were out to smash stereotype and respond vigorously to their critics, and the men of the 80s would be made to toil to take back control.